Hey guys, Valdo here, and this is going to be my review and kind of a quick showcase of what you can do with the slave driver's hand. And just kind of disclaimer before we even look at the item. Nothing that you're seeing here is final. Nothing that I'm going to say is final. I'm not trying to show you a build. This is merely just kind of what could potentially be done with this weapon, really showcasing its diversity and so on and so forth. So let's get into it. We've got the Slave Driver's Hand. Uh, 35 to Dex, increased evasion and energy shield, 30% reduced trap throwing speed, 10% increased AoE. Increases and reductions to cast speed also apply to trap throwing speed, which is kind of the big one. Increase 10% chance to gain an ND frenzy or power charge when a trap is triggered by an enemy. That's pretty cool. And skills which throw traps have blood magic. To kind of run back a little bit, the biggest, obviously the really big build defining mod on this unique is the increases and reductions to cast speed apply to trap throwing speed. So this has definitely got a big swing in diversity, in my opinion, for trappers, meaning that no matter where you are in the tree, your cast speed is going to give you more trap throwing speed. Trap throwing speed is a massive factor in the upcoming update, mostly because trap throwing speed is great for throwing multiple traps. If your particular rotation or boss throwing strategy is going to be something in the realm of, like, let's say that you're playing a fire trapper or like a flamethrower, whatever, a fire based trapper. It'd be really cool that you would want to lay down your support traps that deal damage. So, for example, you throw a bear trap that increases your damage with traps. So, throwing a bear trap, throwing a lightning trap, or a Val lightning trap is pretty good. Then you want to throw your fire trap, and you want to throw the fire trap down so it gets that burning ground, so that you can throw your flamethrower trap, which does more damage based on a enemy who is an enemy that is burning, or I believe is igniting. So what does that mean? That's a lot of traps. You have to throw your bear trap, then your lightning trap, and then you have to throw your fire trap, and then your flamethrower trap. So, and that could happen very quickly with enough trap throwing speed. But that would mean that moving in that direction, you'd have to play a class that can comfortably get those nodes. You don't want to be playing a Marauder who can barely get, at best, 10% trap throwing speed on their build. That sucks. 10% trap throwing speed sucks. That is not good at all. But for builds that invest in a lot of trap throwing speed, the most you can get is 62%. So what I'm going to show you really quick is going to be kind of a showcase for how traps can be used on the other side of the tree. And again, like I said, none of this is final, none of this is legitimate. This is not an actual build. I want you guys to go out, give it a try. Really in the early testing phases. So I'm just going to show it to you. Um, all right. So this is my chieftain. He is a Chieftain Righteous Fire Slave Driver build, 200% life, 137% cast speed, 68% trap throwing speed. Elemental Overload, Avatar Fire, 3 traps, whatever. It uses Quake traps, Explosive traps, and Flamethrower traps. It is an immolate build. So, what are we looking at? So, cast speed on the tree. Some of the cast speed you can get is going to be here at precision. This also gives you dex, which is kind of needed for trap related gems. And then we grab this cluster here, which is super good. It's the best you get for cast speed. And then we also grab this fire node, which gives you 4%. And then we're going to also grab our basic trap throwing speed nodes here. So the deep trap throwing stuff is here. And again, this is deep because I'm a chieftain. I can't afford to run this deep and run this deep for trap throwing speed with these super subpar life nodes compared to what you can really get on this side of the tree in terms of life nodes. So what this allows you to do is, not only do I not have to invest on my tree to get trap throwing speed, I can invest in items that give me trap throwing speed. That's pretty fucking cool. So to give you an idea, I have 25% on this Void Scepter. This is the highest roll. 13% on this Spirit Shield. That's the highest roll. Um, And of course, there are ways to get far more on your gear. You can get about 39% on a profane wand, and that's a lot of cast speed. So I guess generally moving forward, if you want a lot of cast speeds and you're okay with using a wand, I'm a scepter type of guy, definitely go with the profane wand. In fact, I think that's going to be a big deal for a lot of trappers moving forward. But generally, we get the 25 and the 13% here. Silver Flask is another 20%. Um, and then you get another, like I said, this is 6, 12%. Um, that's 18%. So I do have it here. 28% from tree, 20 silver flask, 25 from the weapon, 13 from the shield, and the frenzy charges you get from this item is also going to give you 12% if you just stay at the 3 normal frenzy charges. That gives us 98% trap throwing speed. Um, 68% with the 30% reduced um, trap throwing speed. So that's 68% trap throwing speed. But now that we've invested so much in trap to get cast speed, to get trap throwing speed, that's going to be 100. And I believe this is wrong. This is actually, ignore this. I think this is 127% cast speed at the end of the day, with faster casting on the skills that require faster casting to get more procs of their damage before the trap expires. So, single-handedly, the build achieves 68% trap throwing speed and 107, yeah, 127% cast speed, with just the investment of a couple of nodes and items. So what's really cool is that instead of having to invest in additional nodes on the tree, get additional parts in your gear, you're able to get really double the value of these stats when you get cast speed. And that's really the point, is it allows more efficiency for builds that do not decide to go the ever over centralizing class of Saboteur. So that's really cool. Of course, it does not make up for the the CDR that you get from this tree, nor does it make up for the amount of area of effect you could be getting on this tree. So I'm not saying that Saboteur still isn't the best class for traps. I am just saying that it does loosen up the build restriction for saboteurs. So I guess a little bit more on what this does is that the massive amount of cast speed that gives you way more procs of whatever cast speed trap you're running, which would be the new Lightning Spire trap, the Quake trap, the Flamethrower trap, um, which is pretty sick. Some of the other differences I was looking at was that the AoE and cooldown reduction that you get between being a saboteur and not being a saboteur is kind of big, sadly. If you were just talking about from the tree, the most area you can get, not including the Scion nodes that no one should ever take, is about 54. So 54% increased area of effective skills is quite a bit. 26 on my tree, 10% from the slave driver, 8% from explosive impact. Saboteurs get 40% for free. So they actually can either save up on those nodes or just not take them. They also get Sabos get 50% exclusive cooldown reduction, and 30% of it is there's another 30% exclusive to the tree. So saboteurs get a lot of cooldown reduction. Let me look at it really quick, just so we know what we're looking at. This is the cooldown reduction here. Is 20%. I mean 30%. This is 20%. So that's 50% there. Sabos also get an additional 30% between these two nodes, so that's 80% for them, not including if they take Tinkerskin. So that's a pretty crazy amount of cooldown reduction for free. Uh, of course, moving forward, a lot of traps aren't going to need it, but a lot of the big traps, it will help. I do not imagine us throwing our flamethrower traps, or needing to throw our flamethrower traps and our quake traps and our lightning spire traps all the time, as our basic traps, like if you're playing lightning trap, you really don't need to be throwing anything else because those clear everything. Fire traps new AoE is going to be clearing a lot. The real concern one is going to be explosive trap. I am fairly confident with just the 30% and the 10% explosive trap with my other two supplementary skills will always be up for me to clear. I am 100% confident that it's not going to feel clunky. But again, things could change. I really feel like GGG is moving in a direction where you have your no cooldown skill for traps, and then you're going to have your big DPS pumper. That's going to cost you a bit of cooldown reduction investment. Um, And besides that, this build uses Avatar Fire and Righteous Fire. So Righteous Fire is really easy to achieve on Chieftain, and as you guys already know, so very little investment required there. I'm almost at the point where with this build I won't need I really don't need any nodes actually outside of this. I'd have to rock another Combs Way to do it. But I think this is going to be a cool build. There's a lot of fire. Also, this being this used to be, in my opinion, I've grabbed this before, but it feels like shit to grab these fire nodes. These are shit nodes. They really are. Like what you're seeing here is garbage. This is straight garbage. Like 3% fire penetration. What the fuck is that? Uh, like this is depressing. But anyways, this stuff you can take. The reason I'm taking it here is just a placeholder because I know they're going to be buffing these nodes massively. So these are definitely going to be far more worth it, and I hope that is the case because then with all of these LE nodes buffed, it'll allow other classes that can reach it. It allows them access to a ton of damage of their element that can hopefully offset the amount of trap and LE damage that the Saboteur gets in these kind of spots here. I'm glad this buff is happening as well for fire skills. It's kind of a big deal. And I was also considering taking this and all of this because of Immolate. Immolate's going to be a big deal in my opinion because it's already in an ignite build. Elemental focus was already rivaled by Immolate itself. Normally the damage is about in the favor of elemental focus, but I'm quite confident moving forward. If you're igniting or you're purposely igniting, Immolate is going to almost always be better, just because it's going to multiply your ignite damage so much. So, and I think that's something I'm going to do as well. Since explosive trap hits so many times, quake trap, flamethrower trap, they all hit a lot. So it's a lot of hits. I think it's going to be super cool to run all that Immolate damage, all that ignite. So yeah. Um, what else was I gonna say? I think that's kind of it. I tried a cheeky thing here where you can use intuitive leap to get some interesting cast speed and like alchemist and all that stuff. It's really cool. Cool thing you can do. Um, but besides that, I'm really looking forward to this. Another cool interaction I was had in my mind was how much fucking cast speed you get as a trickster and how many hits you get with these new trap skills would be really cool with Harness the Void and these mini cast speed nodes. These cast speed when you equip these gloves, these cast speed nodes now become not just a more damage multiplier for your traps, but they're going to become a huge factor in your trap throwing speed. And then this node here is going to be massive for your multi-hit skills. I can't even think of a skill that hits as fast as Explosive Trap. Like just think about it. Explosive trap makes one explosion per trap, which then breaks into four more explosives. That's five explosive per trap. Four times five, that's 20 hits if not all of them hit. At the most, you can get 20 hits per cluster trap, which is fucking nuts. That rolls the shit out of Harness the Void, which is pretty cool. Not including flamethrower trap and all those things. All of those things hit a lot. And explosive trap doesn't have a cooldown. Um, and another thing I wanted to show you guys was really the small investment here. You don't need this. You don't really need hair trigger. I just always like to run one if it feels bad. Um, the Sun Blast is probably going to be, I'm not going to say required, but it's going to be a big deal. And the Combs Way, of course, is not required unless you're going Righteous Fire. So in reality, this build is only using like two uniques. So it's like two uniques. One of them may not be required. And it leaves you a ton of space for more life. Like this can probably get around 250% life with all these sockets. Um, and ignore this fire trap. Just ignore this right here. You just want to see this life and stuff here. But yeah, a lot of changes could definitely be done with this build. But of course, like I said, this is not a build showcase. This is just to show off what Slave Driver is doing for other builds. So I really hope you guys like this video. If you have any questions or want to know more about my particular build, you just ask me. If, say, for example, that you guys are interested in some of this theory crafting stuff, let me know. I'll do more of these because trust me, I spend enough time on Path of Building right now that I could do way more of these. But yeah, just let me know how I'm doing, guys. I hope you guys are hyped for the next lead because I definitely am. Considering my track record with traps, I'm really excited. So I will see you guys later. Enjoy.